Welcome back to the Wizards Lair podcast, where we break down every episode of Wizards of Waverly Place. This is episode 5. I'm Daphne, and I'm with my husband, Xander. Today we are going over season 1, episode 5, called Disenchanted Evening.
Yes, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us, and please hit the like and subscribe button, and be sure to leave your comments as we go along, and please join us on our rewatching of Wizards. We have been watching through the series, who knows for the how many time. But, as always, it is a great time, and Today we're going to be just kind of walking through the episode, talking about some of the magic, some of the spells, some of the characters, and just all that we love about Wizards of Waverly Place.
Yeah, and there's a lot of magic in this episode, so this was a really, really fun one. Because I think, is this the first time in an episode that we've seen, correct me if I'm wrong, I probably am, but is this the first time in an episode we've seen other wizards?
Yes.
Other than the Russo family so far?
That I can think of, yes.
Yeah. Yes. So that's a cool new addition. This was an exciting episode. A lot of new stuff happened. So kind of general breakdown of the plot of this episode, I guess, is we meet TJ, who is another wizard that happens to go to the Russo school. What? Do you happen to know that actor's name? Did you look that up?
His name is Daryl Sabara.
Yes.
I could be mispronouncing his last name, Sabara.
Yeah, I should have known that, though, because he was in, I originally knew him as Junie on Spy Kids, which was, like, one of my favorite movies as a kid.
Wow.
Yeah. And so
I'm surprised I didn't catch that. You're absolutely right.
He was much younger in Spy Kids, but that's where I knew him from originally, and then Wizards, and... I'm not sure what he's doing work-wise now, but I know he's married to Meghan Trainor, and they have a really cute little baby now, so it's cool to see teenage him. So yeah, TJ is another wizard, and Alex kind of catches him doing magic. Was it at school, or... No, it was...
Yes, it was at school in the hallway, like in between classes.
Gotcha. Oh, I think she saw him in Waverly Place, too, though, right?
Oh, you're right. Yes, you're right. She happened to look outside the substation, and he tripped or something, and then caught himself in the midair.
Yes.
By the way, that was a green screen. I noticed that scene.
Oh, interesting.
The edges on his shoes and where he's touching the ground and his hair were a little bit fuzzy. Yeah. So I could tell that they just took a clean plate of the set for the outside. Yeah. And then I guess had him kind of act it out on the.
Yeah, well, and he probably had something cushiony to fall on or something like that.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, you're right. But I thought it was funny how I just never noticed that it was a green screen. But yeah, so we meet TJ, and he is a wizard just like Alex, and of course Alex is very excited, and she tries to befriend him, and then Max, on the side plot of the episode, Max has a science project revolving around Mars that he's trying to complete, and so somehow the two kind of cross over in the end. But yeah, so... let's just start talking about the very beginning. So like we said, Alex is, all the Russo kids are getting ready for school. Alex happens to take a little bit of a shortcut, uses magic to put on a jacket.
Right.
Which makes Jerry kind of, not angry, but frustrated, as in hey, don't be lazy, and magic isn't a crutch,
right,
it's a tool.
It seems like he and Teresa have a rule where they should not be using magic for things that they can easily just go do, because I don't think they want them to become spoiled, kids that are not...
like TJ.
Exactly.
As we'll see.
Oh, exactly, and that's a perfect example. But that's the first spell that we get in the episode, though, is when, and I'm assuming it's just a little bit of a make-em-up, but Alex goes, "Stop all the racket, I'll wear a jacket."
You know what? I was also thinking the same thing, that it was a make-em-up, but I think there's an episode where they explicitly mention make-em-ups, and then we're introduced to them, and then they do them for the rest. This may actually be a certified spell.
Okay, that's fun.
I'm trying to figure out which episode it was. I think it's the episode where Justin and Alex go to a rated R movie.
Yeah.
And it's that horror movie that they get themselves stuck in. I think they use make-em-ups to get themselves in and out of the movie.
Okay. And so they're not really introduced
everything
beforehand.
Before that may be a
allegedly
certified spell.
Is real spells. That's funny.
But I love that somebody actually went and got this spell certified.
Yeah.
Stop all the racket, I'll wear a jacket.
Another funny part from this first scene was when we're seeing Max's initial project, which is literally just some sand.
Yeah.
And everybody's telling him that's not going to work. But he was like, well, I looked up the Mars landscape, and it's barren. And of course, he doesn't even know what barren means.
Do you know what barren means? He's like,
Sandy?
Total Max.
But I'm gonna say this as a quote because I didn't choose it as my favorite quote, but it's still a good one. A good quote from Justin in that scene was, "Let's get your sandbox to school before a cat finds it." I really enjoyed that.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good one. So I think that's when they head out the door, and Alex happens to see TJ kind of trip, and then use magic to kind of like rebalance himself, and then uses magic to pick up the books that he dropped.
Yeah, because she starts kind of spying on him after this because she suspects. She's like, "Oh, that's another wizard for sure."
As a matter of fact, she even does a Jerry tantrum.
She does. I'm so glad you pointed that out because it was hilarious. Yes. I love when the kids do the little Jerry tantrum. It's
I think
Justin does it more often, but it's really funny to see Alex do it.
She was like, "Wizard!"
Yes,
yeah, it's so funny.
Good.
So yeah, you're right. That is kind of funny when the kids take after the parents, and it just makes it feel like more like a family.
Exactly, yeah, because they pick that up. I think it's interesting, which, I mean, this says a lot about TJ's character, but TJ obviously does not care about exposing magic because he does it many times throughout this episode.
Very, very reckless.
And the only reason that it wasn't fully exposed is because Alex happened to be the one that saw him and not somebody else. But he was just doing it out in the open.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like...
Anybody could have been looking out their window at that time, like Alex.
Yeah.
You know, she was walking out the door.
There
Anybody
were
could
other
have walked
people
out the door.
on the street. Like, it's not like it was just them. So he obviously does not care.
So fast forward to school, because that's when we kind of get to see TJ by himself and who he is and how he acts. And he's a little bit obnoxious.
Oh, he's super
But
obnoxious.
at the same time, I feel bad for him because we do see him kind of getting picked on at school.
Right.
The kids grab his what yogurt or Go-Gurt, whatever.
Yes.
And squeeze it and get it all over his shirt, which obviously that's very mean, very rude. So now he has to go get a shirt, but we hear his catchphrase.
I'll show you
and then
insert whatever.
Anything, whatever it is.
And it never makes sense, and it's never funny. It's so bad.
It's really cringy, but that still does not justify him getting bullied. But obviously now that he has this mess on his shirt, he has to change shirts.
Yes.
And what does he do? He goes over to his locker and basically opens up this like factory of shirts that just kind of wheel in and out. And uses magic to snap one on. Yep. Again, anybody could be watching.
Just in the hallway. I can't believe it.
Isn't there like cameras at most schools? Do most schools have cameras? Some security officer in the security office is watching the security cameras and is freaking out, going, "Wait a minute, how is this kid changing his shirt with the snap of his fingers?" So
that's when Alex confronts him, right? After he does that, because she tries to say like, "You just changed super fast," and he was like. Yeah, well, he tried to make some excuse about how fast he is.
Yeah, he said he's a wizard with tools, and she said, "You're a wizard." He goes, "No, I'm a wizard with tools. I'm a wizard with this," and he very lazily tries to play it off. But
then of course she reveals to him that she's a wizard as well. She does the foot thing where she turns her hand into a foot,
yes.
Which is not. I don't think she says a spell. I think she just does it. So that's another piece of magic that we see that's not necessarily a spell. Also, this is unrelated to anything, but Alex's outfit in this episode was, like, by far one of the worst and most Disney, like, quintessential Disney Channel outfits I have ever seen. Like, conflicting colors, like, a million different layers. It was something.
For sure.
It was really something.
I didn't notice it, but I'll take your word for it. Because Disney on these shows has been known to... I feel so bad for Max, who wears these shirts that could swallow him whole.
Oh my gosh, he's wearing like a 2XL shirt on a 12-year-old. I don't understand.
I don't know if they just thought that, maybe 12-year-olds these days are wearing big clothes. Let's just put Max in the biggest clothes possible. But it was like, no.
Yeah.
We wear normal size clothes.
Alex's style is really hit or miss because some episodes it's really cute and really works. And I mean, it's Selena Gomez, so she makes it work no matter what, but some of these are questionable at best.
It's also episode 1. I feel like as we go on, the outfits get a little bit better.
They do get a little better, but there's always I don't know why they
just close their eyes and throw things together and go boom.
I don't know why they feel the need to do the most. Like
right.
There's always a million more pieces than there need to be, and I don't understand. But anyways, moving on.
Yeah, for sure. So we're at school. Alex says that she's a wizard too, which of course TJ does not believe her. And she does the foot for hand spell.
Yeah.
So that convinces him, and now they're both kind of like new wizard friends, if you will. Because she's so excited because she's like, "Oh my gosh, a new wizard. I've never met another wizard before." And she tells Justin, who's obviously very excited as well, and so they invite them over.
Yeah, well, because their whole thing, and the reason that Alex is so jealous of TJ is that TJ revealed to her that he gets to do whatever he wants and use as much magic as he wants.
Willy-nilly magic.
And his parents are supposedly fine with it. And Alex doesn't know at first why they're fine with it. But she's convinced, and she even convinces Justin, that if we get TJ and his parents over, that they're going to convince Mom and Dad to let us use magic whenever we want.
It was also kind of funny how Alex said that she was going to ask Jerry about using Free Willy magic when he's at his happiest. After dinner, before pro wrestling, when he's rubbing his belly. And I thought that was so hilarious. And
And then it shows
Teresa comes in. Yeah, Teresa comes in. She's like, yes, pro wrestling. Oh, I'm turning into my mother. And that was such a funny line. Not my favorite quote either, but another quote worth
Another good one, I believe, from that same scene is when Max is obviously working on his science project again because his teacher did not accept the sand that he brought in. And he comes in and says, do most Martians wear tinfoil or catcher's equipment? And that was funny.
Tinfoil or catcher's equipment. Like, neither, Max, neither.
No.
So TJ and his parents come over. They come over for dinner, and they bring with them a Kugel.
Yes. Real quick, before we get to the Kugel, can I point out the way in which they arrived?
Oh my gosh.
Because they did not knock on the door. They just flashed directly into the Russo's loft, which I think is super rude.
Super rude.
It was a really bad first impression.
Is that the first time we see somebody flash?
Oh, good question. I'm not sure.
Because I feel like we would have pointed it out if somebody had been flashing in and out. Because I've been watching and I haven't. They haven't really got to any of the Russos flashing in and out yet, but to see the TJ's family doing it, it was kind of like,
I think you might be right. It's the first one that I can recall so far, so that might be the first.
It was very abrupt, and yeah, you're right, very rude. Imagine just sitting in your house, and all of a sudden this family just like barges in without any warning. You could be cleaning something or indecent or whatever, and then all of a sudden, boom,
And Jerry was definitely put off by it as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and rightfully so. And like I said, they bring with them a Kugel, which for the longest time I had no idea what a Kugel was.
I still don't know what a Kugel is. Will you enlighten me?
It is a traditional Jewish dish.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that TJ and his family might be Jewish, or at least enjoy Jewish cuisine.
It's a dessert, right? From what I understood? Or is that not correct?
I don't think it is a dessert.
I think it's kind of a weird...
Maybe it is.
Pasta... somewhat of a dessert.
Kugel is a baked casserole most commonly made from lakshan or Jewish egg noodles.
Sweet noodle. Okay. Okay. Interesting.
Maybe there's varying...
Yeah, so it sounds like there's different kinds of Kugels. But yeah, I did not know. I didn't know what that was either, so that's cool to learn. But yes, the Kugel, we find out, is charmed, I think, to kind of brainwash his parents into letting him do whatever he wants and just be happy all the time. And basically he is the head of the household and tells them what to do and does whatever he wants at all times. And that's how he's able to get away with so much.
Yeah, and one funny fact real quick is that Justin mentions that he doesn't get any Kugel because he's allergic to cinnamon.
Oh.
And that's why he gets a special pie at Christmas. Or at Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that is
the
good.
Bland one.
That also makes me think that Kugel is a dessert of some kind if there's cinnamon in it.
Very, yeah, that's a good point.
Just a thought.
That's a good point. Very well could be. So the Kugel is charmed, and the parents, of course, Alex has no idea that it's charmed. She's just thinking that it's going to be a normal evening, and their parents, TJ's parents, will be able to just convince Jerry and Teresa to do. She doesn't realize that he has this whole other plan, which is, again, really not okay on TJ's end. But before the end of the night, Jerry agrees, willy-nilly magic is okay, and Justin is like, what? No! Because he, of course, is a stickler for the rules.
Yeah, he wants rules. But also, once Alex, even though she doesn't know at the beginning, once she finds out about she's totally fine with it at first.
Alex,
which obviously that changes over time, but she is totally on board.
She's totally on board, yeah. And here's a weird thing I saw, and I never noticed this before, but this, I think, is an inconsistency in the show. Because we were talking, I don't know if it was on the podcast or maybe it was before or after a recording of an episode, but we were talking about the layout of the Russo's house. Mm-hmm. And how you have the living room, the loft, whatever, and then you go upstairs and you have Alex and Justin and Max's room.
Yes.
And, of course, out the front door is the hallway.
Right.
If you go down, you go to the substation. But what about the one on the right side of the room?
Right.
What about that? And that, of course, I think goes to Jerry and Teresa's room.
That's what I always assumed.
But in this episode, it goes to the Lair.
What?
Remember when TJ says that he's feeling chilly and he conjures up that fireplace.
Yeah, they do.
It's because Alex is giving him a tour and wants to take him to the lair. So he has this thing follow him. They both go down the hallway, and they end up in the lair with this fireplace. And she even says, let's go to the lair, da-da-da-da-da. And instead of going downstairs into the substation and through the vegetable cooler, she goes directly in the hallway to the lair.
I think I always knew there was more than one entrance to the lair. I think there is supposed to be one in their house, but that you're right.
Doesn't make any sense.
Because that door, I feel like sometimes is implied to be Jerry and Teresa's room, but then other times, like, there's an episode that we watched recently where Alex and Harper just randomly go through that door at the end of an episode when Teresa's doing her workout
I think that was for an end credit scene,
right? But
like backing out awkwardly.
People seem to be going through that door for so many random reasons.
Yes,
and you're right. That does feel inconsistent.
But I think canonically, whatever that word is, I feel like it's supposed to be leading to Jerry and Teresa's room.
You would think, because where else would it be?
But it was really odd that they actually said to the lair.
Yeah.
It goes to the lair, and there is not another episode that I know of where it is used to go to the lair. There's only one way to get into the lair, and that is the vegetable cooler.
I don't think that's
and the portal.
way.
And the portal. That's the only two ways that you can get in.
I could have sworn that I've heard them say in other episodes that there's an entrance from the loft, but maybe not. We'll have to keep an eye out
maybe,
for that.
And I'll tell you what, now that I've heard about this, I'm going to keep an eye out, because you're right. Because I never noticed this in this episode, and I don't know if this is a fluke, or, if there actually is another entrance, but I don't believe there is. I think there's only one entrance, that's through the vegetable cooler, and then, of course, there's the portal if you wanted to come that way as well.
Yeah.
But anyway, so like we said, Jerry and Teresa, they're on board with willy-nilly magic.
Yep.
Alex is using it. Jerry and Teresa almost don't even seem to be just okay with willy-nilly magic. They're okay with everything.
No, yeah,
This charm, I think, is much more than just
the magic thing.
Just the magic thing.
I think you're right. It's just going along with anything their kids say.
Yeah. It's almost like your mind is just blank.
Yeah, pretty much.
I wonder what the specifics are of this charm. Like, we don't really hear...
It's messed up. It's mind control.
It's very messed up, and it's like, where did TJ learn this? Like, it's like... I don't know. I don't want to know where he learned this at, but anyway.
My favorite thing that Alex does during this time, where they can do whatever with magic, is she's trying to get Teresa's opinion of what outfit she should wear that day. And so instead of trying them all on, she uses magic to conjure up a runway in the middle of the substation.
Yes.
And are they models that come out?
Yes.
Yeah. So
full-fledged models.
Models it's not even just Alex. It's models that walk down the runway in these different outfits.
On a stage, a full-fledged stage.
And then my favorite bit of that is when Jerry gets on it and does his little strut down the catwalk. It's hilarious.
Oh my gosh, that was so funny. Yeah, he's like, oh my gosh, a catwalk.
David DeLuise
my
is so
favorite.
Good.
Again, major props to David DeLuise, our favorite TV dad. What a great job. And also, what a powerful wizard Alex must be.
So true.
I mean, she wasn't even thinking about it because, usually when we see wizards use magic, especially Justin, Alex, and Max, who are student wizards, they use spells.
Yeah.
And they use, at least for now, certified spells. Mm-hmm. Alex, I'm pretty sure, without even thinking about it, or at least saying any spells, snapped her fingers and created this.
It was not an actual spell.
It's almost like, and I could be wrong here, but just thinking about how magic works and everything, it almost seemed like because Alex loves fashion and loves clothes and is kind of like familiar with that, it was very easy for her to do magic on that natural scale.
That's interesting.
Whereas maybe some of the lessons that she learns from Jerry, because it's her dad teaching, and she's with her brothers,
doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't. There is no real world, application for that. Mm-hmm. She seems to kind of like nod off, if you will.
Yeah.
Or just not really pay attention as much, or grasp the information.
Right.
But when it comes to fun stuff,
it has to benefit her.
It has to either benefit her, or as we'll see as the series goes on, it has to be like in the moment.
Yeah.
Like it has to be real. Like she doesn't do very well in a simulated environment. Like Justin seems to do very well in a simulated academic environment.
That's a good
whereas
point.
She
needs hands-on.
She forces herself into real world learning.
Yeah.
Which in a very kind of real way.
Yeah, well, and it's funny because that's like kind of the typical plot of a lot of Wizards episodes is her not paying attention to the wizard lesson at the beginning of the episode, not understanding, like, the complexities and the limitations of whatever spell or piece of magic they're using.
Right.
And then in the real life situation, she goes to use it willy-nilly without knowing the consequences and gets herself into a mess. That happens so many times.
Gets a first-hand look what the consequences
and then Justin
really are.
always has to come save her, and it's just classic.
Except for there are times where Alex has to save Justin,
absolutely.
and those are the best.
And especially later on in the show.
Yeah.
So I really like how
I cannot wait to watch these characters
flip.
grow.
Yeah, they do flip that script eventually, which is cool.
Absolutely.
So another thing that's happening while the parents are still under this enchantment or whatever, is Max is still trying to get his science project up and going. So I don't know whose idea it is, but they literally go to Mars.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure whose idea it was, but it must have been the kids. But the parents were okay with it.
Oh, yeah.
They were totally down because they're still under the impression.
Like they're just oblivious. Like
they
don't even really
they knew
consult
eventually.
them. They knew when they came back, but I don't know if they saw them go or not. But that's another time we do see flashing in and out because Alex and Justin and Max do flash.
Well, they use a spell.
They
use a spell. Transport.
Transportium Nextorbitorium.
Yes.
That's a hard one to
say.
say.
Yeah, I couldn't get it out, but you did first try. Good job.
That's interesting that they have to use a spell. That makes me wonder
Well, that spell is specific for going to planets. That's a planet hopping spell.
Oh, wow.
That's a planet hopping spell. So it's a little bit different than flashing out. This is like flashing out like times like 10.
Okay, that's so funny.
Transportium and Nextorbitorium. Yeah.
Next door.
Well, it's either next door, next tour. I'm not really sure.
Think it's
it depends on if you look online. It might say next tour or whatever. But I hear next door, which makes sense to me because transport next door.
Yeah, they always use words in the spell, so I'm sure it's next door.
This was a great one.
Yeah.
So yeah, they go to Mars straight up, and guess what? Max finds sand.
Yeah.
He's like, this looks exactly like my project.
He's like, I was right. What was my teacher talking about?
This looks exactly sand.
They also stumble across the Mars rover.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, well, and I'm pretty sure Justin...
It's back online.
Does Justin fix it, or is it Max?
And Max does it, I think.
I think it is Max. You're
Max
right.
sees it, and then he goes, oh, what's this? It kind of like messes with it, and it goes... And it wakes up, and then...
And you see everybody at NASA. That was my favorite.
It's online. That was so funny.
I just love
stock footage of people like on the computers.
Yeah, that was really good that they bothered to stick that in there. That was really funny.
Loved it.
And then while they are on Mars, another spell is used. I almost want to say it was used earlier too, and I might have missed it.
You're correct.
Something about pancakes. I'm not convinced I wrote it down correctly, so I'm going to have you say it.
It's Commakus Pancakus.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, Commakus Pancakus, and yes, it was used at school. I think Alex made a stack of pancakes.
Yes, because she forgot to eat breakfast. Yep.
She forgot to eat breakfast. And then now on Mars, when Alex and Justin leave Mars and forget Max, Max like, oh, what was that spell? Which I thought he was thinking of, Transportium, Nextorbitorium, but he goes, Commakus Pancakus. And I'm like, I mean, yeah, if you're going to live and survive.
That is what he meant to do. He just wanted pancakes.
He just
didn't
wanted
even
pancakes.
think about getting home.
What a great spell. Again, that's a certified spell.
Yeah.
It has to be a certified spell.
It has to be, yeah.
Because we're not into the whole make 'em ups yet.
Right.
So somebody actually went and got this one certified too, Commakus Pancakus.
Yeah.
And we're grateful for it. We're grateful for it. Oh, isn't there an episode later on where Alex and Justin... No. It was Alex and Jerry are eating pancakes and they make pancake faces.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yes, I do remember that.
Sarah or something like that. That was funny. That was hilarious. So yeah, that's the third spell that we get in this episode. We have Stop the Racket, I'll Wear a Jacket, Commakus Pancakus, and Transportium Nextorbitorium. Lots of spells used in this episode.
One last thing about Mars.
Cool.
So Justin and Alex do flashback because they're kind of having a side freak out about the whole Jerry and Teresa thing. They're starting to regret it and they want their parents back. So they flash back and leave Max on Mars because Max was off doing something else.
Yep.
And we know obviously Max makes pancakes first, but before he comes back, we actually see some aliens on Mars.
Some real Martians?
Which was really funny. And they're I think they're talking about, there's a child alien, and he's talking about
he has a project on Earth Wizards.
Yes, and he was this will be perfect for my project.
I have enough pictures for my project on Earth Wizards, and it's I hate when they wear those masks.
Yeah, so
prejudiced. Yeah, so prejudiced.
It's so good.
That was great.
But Max does eventually figure out how to get back on his own, right?
I'm pretty sure that once Alex and Justin realize that, and Jerry and Teresa are okay with it, they kind of freak out, and they use the spell to bring Max back.
Okay.
And they bring both Max and
and
Mars
the
rover. Which, again, according to Jade and Teresa, that's fine because they're still under the charm of the Kugel. Who cares?
Right.
And so after that, we figure out the secret behind... Well, we figure out how to reverse the charm.
Yeah, like the antidote, if you will.
The antidote to the charm in the Kugel is brownies. Mm-hmm. Apparently, the cocoa powder in brownies can reverse the effect of... I'm not sure if it's this charm specifically or any charm. Either way, I think it's kind of funny.
Yeah, that is hilarious.
It's one of those things, kind of like how we find out that plastic is the natural enemy to magic.
Yes, that's so good.
Somehow plastic, which would be hard to use magic because there's plastic everywhere.
Everywhere. So true.
Like, I think magic would be a lot harder to use, assuming that plastic does really block magic.
It reminds me...
There's a lot of plastic in the world.
It reminds me, if any of you out there are Doctor Who fans,
yes!
it reminds me of how the sonic screwdriver does not work on wood. It can do almost anything, but doesn't work on wood.
You're thinking, wood? There's so much wood in the universe. Well, I guess at least on Earth there is, but it's like, come on, really?
It's hilarious.
Plastic being the natural enemy of magic is just kind of funny to me. But here, we have cocoa powder is the natural enemy to Kugel charms.
Yes.
And Alex and Justin and Max invite TJ and his parents back over. Actually, no, it's just his parents.
Well, and first they do bring their parents back, and right?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
yes.
they do bring Jerry and Teresa out of the spell
with the brownies.
With the brownies, and they're like desperately apologizing to them. And then yes, after that they do end up having TJ's parents over. They kind of sneakily invite them over without TJ knowing. And give them brownies, and they almost don't take them because they said that TJ told them
that brownies were illegal.
Illegal. That's what it was. Brownies are illegal.
Straight up against the law.
Yeah,
you will serve jail time.
That's another part of this.
That must be the Kugel.
That's another part of the Kugel thing is that they seem to just believe anything that TJ said. It's not just that they let him do things, but they just. Like you said, they have no thoughts, and they just trust and believe anything he says.
Kind of like, Teresa and Jerry with the Mars rover. Just la-di-da-di-da, who cares?
Yeah. Well, and it's so funny, because I think they switch back. They get them the brownies after Max and the rover have come back, because they don't care at first. And then when they do eat the brownies... Then they're like, why is there a bunch of space
dust?
Yeah,
red space dust. And what's the space junk? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And so eventually we have TJ's parents come back. They're given the brownies. They say that law was overturned yesterday.
Yes, and they believe that too. So.
And they eat it, and the dad goes, delicious. The way he says that has always stuck with me. It's so funny, the way that actor said it. So, okay, now here we go. I have a question for you.
Okay.
Because in the context of the show, as soon as TJ's parents take a bite of the brownies and the effect is off, somebody asks, where's TJ? Right. And they said, oh, he's just skateboarding up the side of the Empire State Building. Yeah. And then they realize how dangerous that is, because the Kugel's no longer in effect.
How messed up that is.
Now, TJ flashes in the next moment.
Yeah.
But he doesn't look like he wanted to flash in, because he still thinks that he's skateboarding, or he still thinks he's on top of the building. Because when he flashes in, he's like, wait a minute, where am I at? Brownies!
That's true.
So, does TJ's parents have magic? They would have to, right?
That's a very good question.
It never says.
And it doesn't seem like you don't see them snap or like do something. I wonder if maybe Alex did it.
Ooh.
If maybe Alex or Justin flashed him there.
Interesting. Let us know in the comments what you guys think. Did one of the Russos flash TJ in at the right time?
Because you're right, he did.
Or was it TJ's parents? Because they never specify whether they have magic or not. But if TJ has magic, it would be kind of natural to assume that either mom or dad or both have magic.
Not necessarily. And I mean, I guess one of them could if they had won their wizard competition.
Right, assuming they did.
But that's a good question, because you're right. TJ did appear and seemed shocked that he was there.
It's like he was still skateboarding down the side of the building, or was on top of the building, and also the next moment was inside the Russo's apartment.
Yeah, he looked thrown off by it. Can I also just ask you a question? What are we counting anything in this episode as magic exposure? Because TJ did a lot of things that I would consider exposure had anyone other than Alex seen them. But that Empire State Building thing, obviously people saw that, and that's not natural. That is magic.
Right. I don't know. I think we specified that it was for the Russos only. Did we specify that we're talking about how many times the Russos exposed magic?
Oh, you're right. Okay.
Because you're right. This
right.
would be a lot, but I think we're just looking at the Russos. So the Russos, for the first time, are actually not to blame.
They're in the clear.
They were the good ones in this episode.
Yeah, although...
Surprisingly. Although Alex was a little...
Alex definitely was getting reckless, but...
Wasn't there a scene, we forgot to mention the scene, where TJ and Alex were walking through Waverly Place, and they...
the hot dogs?
The hot dogs,
yes.
Yeah. TJ used magic to get them both hot dogs and almost didn't even pay.
Yeah.
And then decides to pay by snapping his fingers, which again brings up the question, whose money was that?
Right.
Was that his money from his pocket that he flashed over there? Was it the money from the cash register that the guy already had that he just reappeared? Was it money that he just conjured up out of nowhere?
Right.
That's the thing about magic, is like magic can break the laws of physics, because like in our world you cannot create or destroy matter.
Right.
It's only transferred through energy.
Yep.
So it's like, did he create matter by creating a new dollar bill that hadn't actually been registered through the U.S. Treasury?
Or did he summon that from
some other place?
From somebody else's wallet.
From somebody else's wallet.
I can see that, because honestly,
it could have been
sucks.
It could have been the hot dog vendor's pocket.
Right, just to look good in front of Alex. Because she was the one that was like, are we going to pay for that?
And he's like, oh, yeah, whatever, and snaps. And she says, well, good enough for me.
Yep.
Which, yeah.
So that was very close to an exposure as well, but I don't think we...
Yeah, you're right, because if two hot dogs... Because the ketchup was freaking, like, squirting itself. The mustard...
Well, and the vendor was there. He was just turned around talking to somebody else. So,
right,
it was so close.
Which, again, is just lucky timing. Because, yeah, magic should have been exposed all over this episode.
Yeah.
But they happened to get lucky. So now that the Kugel has been reversed, the charm is removed, and the Brownies have kicked in, they decide to punish... I'm assuming they punish TJ for his actions, and rightfully so. TJ, I think, obviously, you mentioned earlier about how every episode's about how Alex doesn't take the lesson seriously or the spell seriously, and then in the end learns.
Right.
In this episode, she's really seeing why Jerry sets the rules that he does in place. You know, don't use magic as a crutch, use it as a tool. Magic should be respected. It should be preserved. We don't want to expose magic.
Right.
You know, it needs to be taken seriously. And, you know, with TJ, we're seeing all of that just kind of like out the window, basically.
Yeah.
And we're also seeing how dangerous magic can be, because whether or not his parents have magic or not,
right,
they were still able to be charmed.
Yeah, and so was Teresa. Yeah.
And so was Teresa, and so was Jerry. So magic, you know, if not respected and not taken seriously or not, you know, handled correctly, can get really out of hand and can also be very, very, like, abusive.
Oh, absolutely. That was incredibly abusive.
In my opinion, what TJ did was pure evil.
Literally. He brainwashed his parents for potentially years. We don't know
who knows how long they were.
We don't know when he started doing this. If it's just been a couple of weeks, or if he has been doing this since he was a kid.
Yeah,
like, that's really messed up.
Where did the idea come from? Was it another delinquent wizard? Was it something that he learned from reading a magic book that he shouldn't be reading? I don't know. Was it maybe something that he just thought in his own head? I know how to get ahead of, you know, I know how to get around this. And
TJ is low-key a sociopath. I don't like him.
We're going to guess. When he returns...
Yeah, he does come back. And
he comes back and it gets worse.
And he's bad then. Yeah, he's just as bad then, too. He just does not care about anyone else's lives.
Oh, yes. No, you're right. He doesn't care about anybody.
It's messed up. He's a very selfish
And that episode, Wizard gets exposed hardcore on
Definitely.
This. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait to get to all that. But yeah, so we're going to go ahead and assume that TJ was properly punished. We still have no idea whether his parents have magic or not. Magic, as far as we know, was not exposed by the Russos.
Yeah, they were
still at a current score of 1.
Okay, not bad.
Out of 5 episodes, only the first episode is what we've seen.
You know, I have a feeling that will ramp up eventually.
I'm telling you, there's one episode I can think of right now, an episode in season 1 that has 2 clear, distinct, just the most obvious, blatant explosions of magic, and I cannot wait to get to them.
That's going to be so good.
I think we're nearing the end of this episode. Shall we move on to our last segment, which is where we talk about our favorite quote in the episode?
Yes, absolutely. Do you want me to go first?
Sure.
Okay, awesome. So, there's a lot of good ones this time. I had a few things written down, and I even shouted some of them out earlier. But the one that I chose as my absolute favorite quote from this episode was from the scene where TJ has the what was it, like a fireplace that's following him around to keep him warm, and he's kind of getting it pretty close to some of the Russo stuff.
Down the hallway, yeah.
Yes, and Jerry's warning him not to get too close to the bookshelf, and he says, "We need those books so we don't look like we watch too much TV."
That's hilarious.
I love it.
That is so funny.
Good. What was yours?
So mine is from Teresa, actually. And this, I believe, is the first line of the entire episode.
Yes.
My favorite quote from this episode, Teresa is handing the kids their lunches as they're going to school. And she says, okay, whole wheat, no crust, $5 in a bag. And so she gives the whole wheat to probably Justin. And then the no crust to Max.
Absolutely.
And the $5 in a bag to Alex.
I love how you can tell immediately by those 3 descriptions whose is whose. That's so funny. What a great cold open. I love it.
So that's my favorite quote. And this was a really good episode.
This was a good one.
I'm not sure what the next one is, but that'll be for next time. But in the meantime, thank you guys so much for listening. We're glad that you guys want to listen to us as we chat about the Wizards of Waverly Place, one of our favorite shows of all time, and just kind of break down these episodes, talk about the magic, and talk about the characters that we know and love. Daphne, do you have any final thoughts as we're wrapping up?
No, just thanks again, guys, for watching. The show it's already just getting better and better as we go along, because we're kind of getting out of those first few episodes where everybody's getting into their characters, and we're really starting to settle in, and it's getting even funnier and even better, so I'm excited to keep going. Leave your thoughts about this episode in the comments for us. Give us a like, a subscribe if you haven't already.
Also, follow us on Instagram.
Absolutely, yes.
You can follow us at the Wizards Lair Podcast on Instagram.
Yes.
That's our handle. And we will see you next time on episode 6, right?
Yep. See you guys later.